still playing. He's 11 years younger than my half-brother. And man, he's at the chiropractor twice a week. I said, dude, you're in your 40s. It's time to retire from that.
That senior year, we're playing this kid, the kids from Swan Street Park, and tackle football, same thing, $20 case of beer. And the starting center for starting for Everett High, he had Villanova was doing that,
All right,
broken ankle in the football.
I'll make a motion to open the September 18th, 2019 meeting of the Groveland Conservation Commission. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so tonight we've got a quorum with Terry, Mike, Fred, and Bill O'Neill, who's temporary appointment from the Selectmen. And thank you, Bill, for coming tonight. And John.
Making an entrance.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming anyway.
I want to thank you for allowing me to pinch hit. It's been an honor and a privilege, and
Of what?
if you ever need it again, please don't hesitate to call me.
All right.
Okay, thank you for,
Thank all you folks for doing what you do, because we need it. Mike, drum up some more volunteers.
Yes.
Thank you all.
sorry, Mike.
No, that's all right. Yeah, so we are down one member, so if there's anyone watching who find this absolutely enthralling and you want to join the commission, feel free to write a letter to the selectmen to apply. All right, so we have quite a bit on our agenda tonight. We've got 6 hearings. We won't start those until 7:30, but we've got some business to take care of. Here, take a look at those minutes.
These are the
So-
ones that were passed
Yeah,
around, yeah.
Those are from August.
Yeah.
All right, so in front of you, you've got two things. One is the two sections from the Groveland Open Space and Recreation Plan, Section 8 and Section 9, which detail the goals and objectives, and then a little more detail about the 5-year action plan from that. So we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. Any comments that you might have had on it after looking at it? And then the second thing in front of you is we have an executive summary from the E-code proposal that was presented to the planning board, and our town planner suggests that we take a look at it and just get an idea if we perhaps might be interested in looking at a proposal for our town bylaw. All right, so we'll come back to those. I think the first thing I'm going to talk about under conservation agent update is the open projects with permits. As you know, the seasonal restriction is coming up on November 1st, so that we've got about 6 weeks or so until then. So normally what we have Rosemary do is look at all these, contact people to try to find out where they are in the scheme of things as far as their timeline is concerned, and make sure people understand that there'll be no work in the buffer zone during the seasonal restriction that starts November 1st. So, just looking down this list, most of the projects, it looks like, most of the projects have been done, and, yeah, okay. And quite a few of them already have certificates of compliance. Let's see.
So what's the action item?
I'm trying to find some that,
Well, is she going to follow up on them, or?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so the action item is,
So
she'll
we
follow
need
up
to
on
have
those.
her follow up on, I think there's maybe about 10 of them that are open. All right, yes. All right. I don't think there's anything we need to do. So what we'll have her do is follow up on the open ones and report back to us in October on their status. You think that's good?
Sounds good. It's 7 and 8 in this case? Agenda items 7 and 8?
Yeah, I think I've got one other thing she left a note on here.
Is she not coming today?
No, she's not, she's sick tonight. Okay. All right, so she had an update on the horse farm at 180R Center Street. So the culvert is in the process of being installed. There's been quite a bit of work done. The driveway into the facility is pretty much done, but the culvert was being worked on this past week, and so that was going well. She's been monitoring it pretty closely, along with TEC, the planning board and conservation monitoring firm. So things are going well there. And she also said that we asked her to check up on 929, 931 Salem Street, and there's no activity there. So we'll assume that they're certainly would be ready for the seasonal restriction. I don't know about 180 Center Street, but we'll have to have her check on that. All right?
All right.
All right. So, moving along to the Groveland Open Space and Trails plan here. Does anyone have any obvious input on this? So, the goals, there's 4 goals which are basically very similar to the, I believe it was 2012 version. Yeah, in 2012. A lot more of the objectives have changed. And then if you look at the action plan, there's quite a few things that plan to be done in the next 5 years or so, 5 or 6 years. So, does anyone have any input on that? The first one being protecting the aquifer, and let's see, the stormwater management is going to be affected by MS4 that the town has to do, and there's some things that we need to have input on that. And then the big thing is some of the work that we've been doing over on Johnson's Pond affects that. Protect the small town rural character of Groveland. You can see some of those activities.
You can have mine.
Number 3, preserve Groveland's natural resources, including rare wildlife and core habitat. There's open space, farms, scenic vistas, greenways, trails, wildlife corridors, and land that enhances buffers existing conservation land. So, we've taken a pretty active role in protecting the larger properties, and now we're kind of focusing on the smaller properties that we own with the CPA grant that we received for preserving some of those smaller properties. Unfortunately, one of our members isn't here, and he's been doing some work with the 4th graders over at Bagnell, so we'll wait to hear from him, Bill, to hear what's going on with that. And then enhance recreational opportunities by protecting existing recreational land, acquiring additional land to meet increased demand due to projected population growth. So, on this one, you can see some of the, a lot of the objectives really address currently owned properties that we can be enhanced. Of course, not all of these things are things we're doing. Some of these things we are doing, some of these things Open Space and Trails Committee is doing, and then we're working with other town committees to promote these places, like Johnson's Pond, Elm Square, and Strawberry Fields, which really should be called Center Street Greenway. And then take a look at the action plan. Those are some more specifics of what we plan to do.
I had a couple small suggestions.
Okay.
One of the, in goal number 1, the minimization of invasive species.
Yes.
I think it would be useful to identify, first of all, what the invasive species that we're talking about are.
Yep.
Some of them are pretty obvious, but some of them might be a little more obscure. Norway maples, for
Yes,
instance.
right.
But it would be useful just to have a list of things that we don't want.
Yes. Some kind of inventory.
Yeah,
In particular, on our properties,
well, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Because, that's the idea. Say we were going to tackle invasives at VZ Park. It'd be nice to know what the major ones were there and, what we had to do to get rid of them. Okay.
and I had a question in goal 2. There's the enhance access to the Merrimack River, and Elm Square is sitting there.
Yes.
And, how does that fit in?
Well, the Elm Square Committee is looking into increasing access to the Merrimack River. Somewhere along Main Street between, down past the square a little bit, and then through the square down to the Pines. That's the area that the Elm Square Committee is interested in. We
So it's really the
identified-
committee, it's not Elm Square itself?
Yeah.
Okay,
So the Elm Square Committee is working on that.
okay. All right, that makes a little more sense.
Anything else?
And the maximize use of current facilities where it talks about funding from town and grants, does that include CPA?
Where is that one?
That's goal 4, maximize use of current facilities.
Okay,
A little bit easier to see on the milestone thing, I think.
yeah, maximize the use of current facilities, yep.
It just says funding town grants, is that is that CPA in
Yes.
particular, or?
No, not just
or-
limited to CPA, but other grants. So we'd be pursuing any grants that are out there. You know, I kind of monitor all the grants that are available.
Essex County,
Yes,
Greenbelt and
yep,
stuff, yeah.
yep. So monitoring all grant opportunities.
Well, it looks pretty good.
Okay. Anybody else? No? All right. All right, so.
And we get the minutes out of the way.
Yeah, we get the
and
minutes. Let's,
Move to accept the minutes from August 21st. I can't second my own motion.
Second.
any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Yep, one abstention, 3 positive. That was as amended, right? You had one correction?
I just had a typo,
Oh, okay,
nothing big.
all righty. All right, and the E-code, I'm gonna put that off till the end, but basically, take a look at that if you get a few minutes. This is for the planning board, but we can have them do the same thing for us. And I'm expecting it would be significantly cheaper than what they are paying for the planning board.
All right,
All right, so I'll make a motion to open the hearing portion of the meeting at 7:30.
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So I'm not sure of the exact order of people who came in. We didn't have a sign-in sheet here, but let's see. I see Mr. Holtz back there for Oakland Terrace and 28 Benjamin. I also see Mr. Daly here for Sewell Street. Who was here first, Sewell Street or Oakland Terrace? You were here first, Bill? Is this Oakland Terrace? Yeah, so this is continuation.
It's a 3-lot subdivision proposed by the Gould, located off Salem Street, and 723. 723 Salem Street? Okay, so it's located on Salem Street, 733 Salem Street. It's a 3-lot subdivision. It's proposed 300 feet of roadway with a T turnaround to serve 3 lots. All 3 lots will be coming off Salem Street, off the new roadway called Oakland Terrace. There is no jurisdictional wetlands within 100 feet of the proposed roadway work and drainage work. All the wetlands is in the rear of the property and is within 100 feet of the house located on the 3rd lot, lot 68G. There's actually only about 2,200 square feet of work in the buffer zone, right in the back here.
What's the one with 68G was the long driveway? Is
Yep,
that
the long
correct?
driveway coming off, yep.
Okay.
So we've designed it to mitigate all the runoff from the roadway, which all flows towards Salem Street. None of the runoff from the roadway flows towards the rear of the property, towards the wetlands. And there's none of that runoff or any of the work associated with the roadway is in the buffer zone or in the jurisdictional area. So all the runoff flows to Salem Street, and we designed it to mitigate for a 100-year storm. and also for stormwater treatment. So we comply with DEP's stormwater management standards, even though we only have 3 lots. We don't necessarily have to. We did design it that way. We have the driveways being infiltrated and the roof runoff being infiltrated for all 3 lots. So there's no runoff increase to the rear of the property towards the wetlands, and there's no runoff increase toward the front. Again, there's only about 2,100 square feet of work in the buffer zone associated with grading for a lot on number 68, lot 68G. And the only issue we have right now, that we delay in getting this closed out, is the water service. Proposing a water service off Salem Street up to T with a fire hydrant and service for the 3 houses. We have adequate pressure and volume to serve the 3 houses and for fire protection, but the water department requires a looping of all systems that are new. So we were looking at potential of doing a loop out to Washington Street. We originally were going to run it down through the driveway and then along the back side of this lot out through the proposed roadway where it's not being built, which is Maple Terrace, which is right here, and Washington Street's right here. So we're going to loop it out that way. That was about 1,180 feet in length, which basically tripled the amount of, or quadrupled the amount of water we had to put in. So we looked at the second option was to bring it up to this driveway and then down the lot that they own off of Benjamin, and then down Benjamin to James. Unfortunately, that's about 1,500 feet long, so it increases the length by about 400 feet over the original design. We're in negotiations right now with the applicants, in negotiations right now with the water department as to which direction to go. Due to the cost, the applicant, of course, wants to go through Washington Street because it's 400 feet shorter and obviously less cost. But that would bring it through a portion of the buffer zone right in here. What we would propose is to bring it off the roadway, down this lot line, down the back of these lots, and then down that proposed roadway that's not being built. That's not being built because we have frontage there, but we're going to have access off of this road to eliminate any work in buffer zone. If we go that way with the water, which is the applicant's preferred cost and the length, we will have about 5,000 or 6,000 square feet of work in the buffer zone to accomplish that. So that's where we're at right now. We're trying to fine tune that. They've been going back and forth with the water department to try to get that resolved and get the either choice. One of the choices, their choices, I said Washington Street, which is shorter. The other option is wells. We were potentially going to put a fire hydrant in to serve 3 lots for fire protection, and have the 3 lots served by water. That's another option that we're considering. We're actually asking the planning board for a waiver on the extension of the water line altogether for service for water service for domestic service. But we'll provide fire protection with the water. We do have adequate pressure and volume. It's more of a water quality that the water department's concerned with. So that's why they want the loop. So it doesn't have so that's where we're at right now. Want to keep the hearing open again for the next meeting, because if we do decide to go to Washington Street, we'd like to add it to this plan, modify it so that it's all on the same plan, and we can show you what that work will be. So at this point, I'd like to ask for a continuance if there's any questions regarding the current proposal, which is limited to this work right here, right now. We're saying it's about 2,200 square feet of area in the buffer zone for that one lot. The roadway itself has no work in the buffer zone.
That's 68G.
68G, yes. So
Move to continue.
I just had one question. On lot 68G, do you have any granite markers proposed on that?
I don't show them, but we can certainly add them if that's something you'd like to see. We can add them for the next meeting.
Yeah, if you can put them on the 75-foot no-build zone.
Okay.
75-foot no-build line there.
What kind of spacing do you want to require?
Let's see,
Maybe 3 in that
yeah,
stretch?
3. Where is that? Here.
Dashed one, yeah.
Here.
So,
Here, so if you can space them out so that there's 1, 2, 3.
I'm just curious what this one's gonna do, because that's not even their land, and it's not gonna be directly behind what he's,
What do you mean, one over here?
yeah, I'm just
No,
curious if
that's,
that's off the.
that's their land, isn't it?
Yes.
That's part of the, it's
Okay.
a weird shaped lot because
Yeah.
of the,
Yeah.
the.
So if like they put one, say, here, one here, and one over here, that should cover it.
Okay.
All right, so I won't,
We can fine tune it when.
yeah, I won't
Yeah.
mark anything on here, but I'll let you propose that, and then,
Great, sounds good.
Move to continue.
Second.
okay, any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we'll continue this to our next meeting in October.
Fucking lefties.
What's that?
I didn't say anything.
No.
Next up.
I think 28 Benjamin Street. Yeah, he's coming back up.
Oh, is that in with this one?
No, it's separate. Here's 28 Benjamin.
Is that a different Benjamin Street?
I don't know why that's in there.
Neither do I.
Here, give them to me.
The applicant who's not has the tear sheet, so.
Okay. All right, so this is motion to open the hearing on 28 Benjamin Street, Groveland, notice of intent.
Second.
I don't think we need to reopen it.
No, we don't, well, right, we don't have to reopen it, sorry.
I'm just,
No, you're right.
point of order, just,
Point of order.
I'll second what John said. Boyers.
sorry.
I know.
Ready?
Welcome back.
William Holt from representing the client, which is DeHulu Homes. They propose building one additional lot on Benjamin Street. It's 1.4 acres. It's at the very end of Benjamin Street. Their house is located here. A new house is being constructed, which is an A&R lot on 34 Benjamin Street. And this would be at the end of Benjamin Street. It has about 100, actually 80 feet of frontage on Benjamin Street and some frontage on Park Street. Benjamin Street from this point here at Bell Street is not constructed at this point. It's a path that was in the past graded at one point, but now it's kind of overgrown. But they're going to construct from the corner down to Park Street with a little T turnaround to provide the extra frontage they need to get the required frontage for the 38 Benjamin Street. So it's a one-lot subdivision. There's only going to be one new lot on this on this roadway. So again, here's the current roadway right here, which is Benjamin and Bell, and this is a gravel path right now. And what we're proposing to do is, this is an A&R lot, because this is actually frontage on Benjamin Street, which is a public way, even though it's not constructed. And then this is the new lot right here. Wetlands is located down to the west of the property. Johnson's Pond is located down here. And so what we're proposing to do is construct Benjamin Street from Bell Street down the Park, again with a little T turnaround. We're proposing 16 feet of pavement, which is consistent with the current width of Benjamin Street, and a 4-foot gravel strip along the edge to make a total 20-foot travel way, which is required for the fire protection. We're doing a T turnaround so that the fire trucks can get in and turn around if they need to. And we have this proposed roadway super elevated towards the east along the property line here, so that all the runoff will flow from Benjamin Street, the proposed new construction, towards a curb line that we're going to put in. And then 2 catch basins will catch the water, run off from the street, and then discharge into a small infiltration basin that we've designed to mitigate the runoff from this proposed new construction of the roadway and the driveways. We did include all the drainage calculations, this house also, number 34, which is currently being built by the DeHulus. We did have soil testing done for the septics, which are shown. Proposing roof runoff for the houses and infiltration for the new pavement. We're going to do a mitigation for the 2, 10, 25, and 100-year storms, which is going to be reviewed by the town's consultant, the planning board consultant. We have a meeting on October 1st for that. First meeting for the planning board to discuss this project. So it's a single lot, number 38, single-family house with a proposed driveway and utilities, and drainage will be mitigated with a pond at the end. The work in the buffer zone associated with this project is there's some work in the back side of this lot. It's about 4,000 square feet of area in the buffer zone to do the grading for the septic and the driveway, and about 6,000 or 7,000 square feet of area to construct this detention pond for the runoff for the roadway. That's located in the buffer zone. The house itself is outside the buffer zone. It's outside the 75-foot and outside the buffer zone. It's just grading for the driveway and for the septic design, and then grading for the construction of the proposed drainage basin.
That's all right.
Well, it says 38 on the top.
Retention pond, how far from the pond?
I think it's gonna be down here.
So is it
Towards the
38 or
pond.
38?
Sitting-
They're number 32, this is house number 32.
Something about up here.
Under construction house is 34, and the column is 38.
Okay.
And how much of that retention pond is going to be within the 75 no build?
It's about 20 feet inside, 55 feet away. With grading. Drainage, typically has to be in the lower end of the project, so.
Sure. And none of the roadway is, that's,
How's it go all the way down to the pond?
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Because we own this. Triangle, I don't know what this is.
it looks like a teeny bit of the roadway is.
I don't know how this is. That's all ours.
Mhm.
New Sudbury.
Unless I'm reading this wrong.
Yeah, the very, very end.
There's a corner, it kind of slices the edge there, yeah.
How much in the freaking no build zone?
But that's outside the 75, though?
It is.
Okay.
75.
Any markers proposed on there?
That's where they're talking about retention.
Well, this is
Which is going out at the end of the pitch.
this is roadway, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
it-
going
So
out
it's not
here.
really,
Yeah, and then ends up coming down.
There's
here.
no-
No markers
Yeah.
proposed
This is
on
it,
the
it's like a
75-foot
spot,
no.
Sell wet spot that all freaking leaches back into Johnson's.
Well-
Might as well just send the pond right in.
that's 68G, right?
Yeah,
68G is above it.
Is above it. So,
68G is up here.
and
Tell me either.
whose property is this? Is that
That's part of the owner.
part of 68G or
Nope, that's
part
part of
of-
this lot.
part of which one?
Part of the Hulu's property on 38.
Which is,
the one we're considering.
If you look back one page, you can see 38. This is all
This is
38.
retention because of the separate.
Okay.
And down to there, that's a town parcel.
Okay.
This is the street. So we're gonna take a
This
piece of
is
this
town
and
and
make
Grove,
part of
huh?
the street.
Okay.
essentially, and
Lot
part of the drainage.
13.
38G is up here, actually.
this,
This is 38G up here.
Yeah, Triangle.
Kind of up above into the- It's actually behind this lot. 38G is behind this lot.
okay.
So that's a piece of the parcel, it's 68 Amaran, we called it. So 3-acre parcel that ultimately made.
All right, so who's, I guess we're wondering whose land would be marked if we put something else down here?
I'm showing markers on there. 'cause I
Okay.
want them.
Yes.
Not 75 feet on center, so.
They're on 70,
All right.
they're on the 75-foot no build zone.
They're actually at the limit of the work. which is about hay bale line, which is a little bit inside the 75, so.
Okay.
That's outside good.
All right. So,
I don't know how much total was, they had 5 of them, it says total 5 bounds.
5.
All right,
I'd like to go take a look at this site.
Yeah, I can't figure it out for the map,
No,
because it's like
it's-
there's, I mean,
I mean, I've been out there and there's significant grading, you know, down to the pond. And our property kind of surrounds it, so I'd like to make sure we take a look at it and we're happy with what's being proposed.
You said it was like, what?
Could we do this Saturday?
I'm not, I have a wedding Saturday, sorry.
Yours?
Mine.
Cancel that, Joe.
I can do following Saturday, or sometime during the week if it's at nighttime, if it's
All right.
light enough.
All right.
I'm go Friday.
Friday. We,
you mean the 20th?
we do
Yeah.
we have a site meeting this Saturday at 9 o'clock.
Well,
at
he's already
the
said no.
New
so-
high school.
Mhm.
So that's why I was gonna wrap it into that one, but we don't have to. So, we could do this Friday night, if you wanted to do that, or we could do next Saturday morning, early, the 28th.
Can't do the 28th.
Yeah.
Let's try Friday, and if that doesn't work,
This Friday, can you
Yeah.
do this Friday, Bill?
Yep, I can get there by about 5:15.
All right, 5:15?
I can't.
You can't.
No, definitely not.
What time could you be there?
I have a 4 o'clock in Linfield, that's gonna at least take an hour.
Oh, all right.
you'll be dark before you get home.
Yeah.
So, if you want, Saturday is fine if you want to do the following Saturday,
Yeah, what is that, the 5th?
28th?
28th.
28.
Oh, the 28th, yeah, Fred
I won't
can't
be
do
available.
that day. How about October 5?
That's fine. That's fine with me.
All right, so let's say October 5 at, what do you want to do, 9 o'clock?
9.
At that point, maybe the planning board should also walk, because we have a meeting on first with the planning board, and they may be able to,
Roll it all in. Yeah, that would be good if we could.
I'll ask, find out.
All right, so we'll schedule that for October 5 at 9 a.m.
What
Would
it-
it
what-
seem a mistake where the house is going, and the
Yes.
roadway, and the roadway?
Yeah.
So, and the
and
ponds,
the,
retention ponds.
Maybe at least like a few flags on the 75-foot no-build zone line.
Yeah, not those things that we can do it as well, that fits, so.
Okay, any other questions?
So we're meeting at 28 Benjamin Street?
Yeah.
Okay.
38.
Yeah, it's up there on the
That's
hill.
32, it's actually.
32.
32 is where the ghouls live, so
Oh, okay.
that's the house, right at that corner bell. This
There's
is
the
38.
DeHulu's, there's a new house, and it's next to that new house.
Below that one, yeah.
Any public comment on 38 Benjamin Street? Yes.
I just actually have a question about 34 and 38. On 34, the driveway, I have a driveway to the back of my property. And this driveway is coming out across from mine. Is it gonna be, will it be either lowered down so it doesn't flow into my driveway? Or is this gonna be uphill of my property?
This is likely uphill from the roadway itself.
Right.
The roadway is gonna be tipped so that the water will flow toward.
Okay.
I'm gonna put a berm along that, a curb along this side of the road, some catch basins and deflect the water, so that it'll come down to the.
Okay, so it won't flood.
It won't come your way, it'll go
Okay.
away from you.
Awesome.
More in the pond.
Now, the grade here, are you gonna be hauling in fill to raise that up?
That possibly would be,
Only because I really worry about, emergency vehicles or anything getting down there and out in the wintertime.
get down the bottom and then we flatten it out, so there's some fill in the bottom. And then basically on this side, it's gonna be following the kind of grade that's already there in the middle of the road.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's actually 12%, which is
steep.
Yeah,
It
no,
is
I,
pretty steep.
I say it's
Yeah.
going to be more of a grade than it is,
It's portions of Indian is
actually,
pretty.
right, well, actually, I'm thinking in front of DeMoulo's house, going up that hill, it's gonna be that kind of a grade.
It's very similar.
Now, will that be a town-maintained
It's gonna be,
roadway?
it's gonna be, improved, but I think it's gonna be maintained as a private way. I think, no, take it back, public to this point, right here, this is public, this is gonna be private at the end.
Okay, so then it'd be able to get up out, in and out.
Won't it become public for you having using the kick around is, for fire trucks to back
Right,
up?
right,
Yeah, so, but I can't imagine they'd be doing that on private. I thought that would,
No, you can tell it a private way.
Okay.
It'll be, they may accept it, but.
That's
we
what I'm
have to-
wondering,
we have
yeah.
to find out
Okay.
what they'll accept.
Yep.
They may ask.
I don't accept it.
Part of it is already public, down to that bend. This part's public down to here, and this is,
Right, that's Park Street.
that's Park Street, which is also public, but it's not Park
No.
Benjamin, so
Right.
we're the frontage on it.
I don't, we're not impeding your progress on anything by pushing this out to October 5th, is it? Okay, I
We
just,
got, and your next meeting's in October, right? In the middle?
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to make sure. Okay,
We'll probably give a continuance on October first as well for the
Right.
planning board, so
okay,
any revisions need to be done.
right, okay.
I think they're looking at probably springtime.
I would imagine, yeah, I just wanted to make sure, so, okay.
All right, so,
Continue it?
yeah, I think we can vote to continue this to our October 9th meeting.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, somebody make a motion to that effect.
Can
Aye.
we move to, do we, well, is the October 5th actually, not going to actually be a meeting, it's just, that's just an open thing, so we're just, okay, I move that we continue this to the October 9th meeting?
Yep,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks for coming again. Have fun at the wedding.
Okay.
Who are most of the people here for?
I think they're mostly here for that 181 Sewell Street, but I think that Sewell Street was here first. Yeah, okay, so next hearing we'll do is the Sewell Street INRAD, I believe. Thanks.
You done with this?
Yeah.
Everyone good?
One moment.
Yeah,
folks.
take your time.
Okay, so this is a hearing on an ANRAD, Groveland ANRAD, application to confirm the wetland delineation at 4 Sewell Street in Groveland.
Salem.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Ron Strossel. I'm from Oxbow Associates. I'm here representing Bill Daly, the owner of the properties. To give you some background on this, the property is located south of Salem Street. in the 90s. It was mined out by Aggregate Industries, who built this quarry in the center of the property. The following owner, Bill Tebow, hired Oxbow to flag the wetlands adjacent to the quarry for his proposed project that ended up not going through. But we flagged the eastern side of these siltation ponds created by Aggregate that they used as detention ponds. Flags A1 through A20, and we flagged B1 through B27. An order was issued by this commission for those flags, and they made a determination at the time of the intermittent stream status of Brindle Brook here that flows in from the east and goes off-site to the north. There's a point that's not on those plans, but I drew in on this one the approximate location of that point. It was based off a USGS stream stats, the website, and that was the size of the watershed, is how we determine intermittent versus perennial. So everything north of that was deemed perennial. Everything south and east of that was deemed intermittent. After that was flagged and approved, Bill Tebow ended up not doing his project. He ended up selling it to Bill Daly here, who took over that order and completed the work on it in 2018. A certificate of compliance was issued for that work. And recently he acquired this piece of property that was owned formerly by the DiBiase Family Trust. With that new acquisition, we continued flagging the wetlands south along the old line. These siltation barriers actually, the siltation basins, there's actually some upland between them. That's why these lines don't connect. They do connect on this plan, but they don't connect number-wise. There's like a peninsula upland that continues between them, but not really relevant to the Wetland Protection Act. It would be covered under your guys' 25-foot bylaw anyway. So we flagged these with a Series Z, 1 to 36. It loops back around this old beaver pond, and there's a culvert that goes over under a cart path, and follows the brook on this side, Y1 through Y11. We also continued the southern property line from B27 all the way to the western property line to B47. So most of this exists at the toe of slope off of these hills, and all the topography is really based off of all the bedrock that's underneath, which is why they started pulling all the rock out. So for this ANRAD, we're requesting that you reaffirm the old flag line that you had already approved, so A1 through 20 and B1 through 27, and then the new flags, the Z series, the Y series, and the extension of the B series on the southern end. We didn't actually flag the southern side of this, so there could potentially, there is a very southern edge to this wetland series, but we're not going in that area, and there's no plan to. So this whole thing is not wet down here, but we're just requesting the northern edge of that wetland system.
That's up the hill, right?
It does, there's a small basin in between here, and then it comes back up, yeah.
So this is extension. The Z's are,
I can bring, you want me to bring the highlighted one over?
That's all right.
Yeah.
Where's that point where the intermittent and perennial streams break?
it's,
The point's not actually on the,
Oh, it's,
yeah, I just drew it on, to be honest. We do have a location in, Millennium has it in their system. We'll amend with the location on there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it was approved in 2013 by this commission.
any problems?
no, think we're gonna do a peer review
Was
on this.
approved when, 2013? So the commission approved it when, 2013?
Yes, though I have a copy of the order over there, if you did, but I think it was December 3rd, 2013 was when the order was issued.
Okay. Wasn't here for that.
Do you want to have Mary or somebody take a look, or?
Under the ZBA, they requested a bid, a quote from Mark Jacobs to do a peer review on it. And so, this filing is with us. I don't believe that ZBA is taking any action on this INRAD filing. This is totally with us, right, Bill? Yes. So, so we can take that proposal from Mark Jacobs to do the peer review. It will be covered, it's covered all under the applicant's filing with ZBA.
What's the timing on that?
Timing? He's ready to go as soon as we give him the go-ahead.
So, next week?
Could be. I don't know specifically, but it's in short order, either next week or the week after. And hopefully it can be completed, you know, before our next meeting. And then we can address it at that
Yeah.
time.
So he's already been authorized to go do this? He just
Well,
hasn't done it
the
yet?
funding is there,
Okay.
and all we have to do is just say, you know, we want the peer review under this.
His account has not been funded.
No, not yet, but,
Right now.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, I think doing the peer review, it's a complicated site, and even though some of it has previously been checked, you know, there's new areas that haven't, so.
So is his peer review going to be comprehensive to the place that we've already done work on?
Yeah,
2014 as well?
I
Or
believe so.
2013? Okay.
I mean, he's gonna take what's been done and look
Right.
at it, and also from our files too, so.
Okay.
I believe the applicant has the previous, you know, filings with us, so.
Right.
It'll be a combination of that.
Okay.
All right, so, so we'll get that peer review done, and hopefully, we can, finish things up in October. So you're prepared to write a check?
Do you have his proposal here? I know it was, yeah, it ranged between 38 and 4,200, his proposal and the scope of work
Yep,
defined in it, so prepared to write a check for 4,000, and you come back either, right?
Yeah,
You
right.
guys would just give three in the line to fail, and you guys voted the meeting, and.
Yep.
yeah, sounds good.
That's the dream.
Yeah, good before, Remember that, let me know.
yeah. Town of Groveland.
Is anyone else here on this?
Joe?
Are those plans gonna be for public viewing in town hall?
The plans, these ANRAD things? Yeah. In conservation office, Joe.
Pardon?
In the conservation office.
If you call Rosemary, she can arrange to have them available to you. so-
Actually, I can give you a set. I think
Yeah,
we've
you
got
can take a
enough
look at it,
here.
too. That's Salem Street up there.
Joe and Avery?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he
He's a
is.
direct abutter.
Okay.
You get this listed as Greenwood Walk, right?
Yep,
It's direct to butter.
yeah, it goes up,
Through my land.
yep.
Goes right through, goes down through Chesterton, across Center Street, across Main Street, into Merrimack.
Keeps going, yeah.
And this is my land here. It's
Thank
not
you.
a seasonal thing. I've been there 40 years. I've never seen it dry.
Joe,
Gift from the town.
This is mine?
Yeah.
Right, thank you.
all right, so,
Motion to adjourn at
motion to continue.
Continue, sorry. No.
Well, let's
Point of
approve,
order.
let's have a motion to hire Mark Jacobs for the peer review. So I'll make a motion to hire Mark Jacobs for the peer review per his proposal to the ZBA.
Second that motion.
Second, all right, any discussion on that? All in-
We make sure that he's gonna have it ready for the October.
Well, as best as possible,
Okay.
you know, I'm
It
not
sounds like
sure
he's
of the
ready
timing.
to, and
But
Okay.
he is
there's plenty of
prepared.
time.
He really is just waiting for the
Okay.
go-ahead.
That's fine.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
I second,
Okay.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing on the Sewell Street Anrad, Groveland Anrad, to October 9th.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks. Don't lose that one.
All right. Now, I don't know who was here next.
Well, let's get the most people out of here. How's
All
that
right.
sound?
That's a great
181 School Street, Groveland, RDA.
Show of hands for 181.
Is the applicant here?
I'm here to represent the applicant.
Okay.
Great.
So this is a continuation from our August meeting of a RDA filed for 181 School Street. And at that meeting, we, where is it? Here somewhere. We requested a peer review.
You want the minutes?
Yeah, let's see. All right. So at that meeting, LEC Environmental, representing the applicant, said that there were, soil tests were done.
4 different
And-
locations.
Yeah, 4 test pits were completed, and there were no wetlands on the site, basically. And some of the folks living on Ann Street requested that we look at it closer because they believe there may be wetland indicators on the property. So we decided to get a peer review of the material that was presented by the applicant. We hired Williams and Sparages, and that was complete. And somewhere here in front of me, I do have a letter. Let's see. That's it. No. No, no, no. Here it is, here it is, here it is, yes. Okay. So, I have a letter. Unfortunately, Greg Hockmuth, who completed the peer review, wasn't able to be here tonight. But let's see if I can find a short part that said. So he reviewed the RDA dated July 24th and a site plan of 181R School Street. And on Friday, September 13th, last Friday, conducted a site visit with the applicant's wetland scientist to determine if jurisdictional wetland resource areas exist. So then he goes on to describe the property and what he looked at, and he says, in summary, William and Sparages have concluded that jurisdictional wetland resources areas do not exist on the subject property. Take a look at that.
I will. ATV traffic.
Yeah,
Kevin?
yep.
So they specifically looked at the depression that's in the center of the site?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with him that day, it was last Friday. Tom Paragallo from LEC Environmental.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, your name again?
Tom Paragallo, P-E-R-A-G-A-L-L-O.
Thank you.
So the determination is outside of our jurisdiction.
Well, yes, I mean, based on that letter, it confirms what the applicant presented to us at the last meeting. So it would seem that we're ready to declare that there's no impact, that we don't have any jurisdiction on the property, and it's a negative determination. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes.
Yeah, Tim Dexter, 185 School Street in Woodland Park. Were delineation data with the peer review, because they weren't submitted with the original wetland delineation report in RDA.
Okay.
Yeah, did you see any of the data?
For the original filing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, there was soil, hydrology, and vegetation data submitted,
I
Not spec-
understand. That wasn't my question.
not specifically data forms that you were describing?
Mass DEP
Yeah.
wetland delineation data forms.
No. But there's no resource
So
area
wetland,
either.
there's no delineation to be
You
made,
determine whether
right?
there's a resource area by filling out the
Mhm.
data form.
I can't show the ordinance, so if anybody wants to talk, they have to.
Oh, all right, okay.
Okay.
I got in trouble for showing
Yep.
something in the ordinance.
Sure, I understand. Okay, sorry, so if you go up to the app,
Sure.
and just state your name and address again.
Tim Dexter, 185 School Street. I'm an abutter to the project, and I'm kind of informally representing some of the other abutters.
Sure.
So my primary issue at the last hearing was that mass forms were not submitted as part of the RDA. And so, my main comment was, we use those forms in this field to look at hydrology, vegetation, and soils to determine whether a site keys out as a wetland or not. And so as part of the third-party review, I was hoping that the wetland scientist would do that, so we would actually have data for all three criteria to evaluate. And so that's my question, conducted as part of their evaluation, filling out those data forms.
Mhm.
I didn't see any reference to
No.
filling
No.
out any forms. I mean, we could make a request
Mhm.
if it's,
He's not the applicant though, so would he be able to?
Site,
Isn't a butter.
No, I'm saying he's a third-party reviewer, so I don't know. Does he have the ability as a third-party reviewer to submit that?
Oh, he could do whatever, we hired
Yeah.
him to do whatever, but, I'm not sure, I don't think the point is there aren't any wetlands on the site.
His
We-
claim is that to make the determination of it being wetlands, he has to submit this, or go through that.
Go through that.
We typically don't do that kind of detail unless there are wetland resources on the site to document those. We kind of went the extra mile to provide that data for you, so you could see, because we knew there was some concern about the depression.
Yep.
But it's not a wetland resource area, and I think there's probably the data sufficient to make that determination in the report. It's not specifically on a mass DEP form, but the data's there.
Yep.
If I may, make one more comment?
So the other issue we had with the report was that the soil test logs from the original report that showed that the site was upland, there were no locations on the plans of where those test logs, took place. So that is standard to provide that. And then from my neighbor's property, in early spring before leaf out, after these flags were hung on the property, I could see what appeared to be leaf staining in buttressed tree roots. So when tree roots grow close to the surface, which is evidence of a high water table in that depressional area. So that, from a distance is what, led me to believe that there's a wetland out there. There were flags, leaf staining in buttressing tree roots, and the report didn't specifically speak to surface hydrology. Hydrology was certainly brought up through the course of the soil evaluation, but it wasn't brought up in the narrative. And surface hydrology is also evaluated within the Mass DEP data forms. For the work that we do in my job for the organization that I work with, we often fill out the Mass DEP data forms when we're working within uplands, or if we think we have an upland, to have data that confirms with the state approach that a site is indeed, in upland or a wetland. So again, I'm just reiterating my concerns with the delineation that's been done to date.
So you'd like the form to support the negative determination?
Take a look at this to see what he says specifically.
We had questions about that too, as to where the sites were that they actually took the photo.
Yeah, I think, plan with was revised, just the location of the sample sites. I sent to the commission last week. I don't know if you have a copy, but you can welcome to take this one. There were 4 locations. This is down in the center of that depression.
Yeah.
Those are the first two we did. Pretty sure. School Street.
Consistent with where we thought there was going to be a.
Yeah, the flags that were mentioned were those flags, 4 of them there.
38 Benjamin,
Wait, School Street?
yeah.
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah, that's it.
That's the one.
So we've got his, that's his proposal.
Yeah, I'm just looking to see what he had.
Let's see what the date of this plan is, if it's the same one that they looked at. July 23rd, do you see a date on this one?
There you go. There was an additional
At least this time
services
they
section and
identified where
conduct
the
additional
sites
site
were, because last
visits
time
and
you were here for
prepare
this one, right?
additional
Yeah.
associated reports
They-
other
they
than
didn't
those
identify
represented,
anything.
I'm always here.
mentioned above.
Your diligence.
I wish he was here.
Yeah, well,
We'll go with it, Bob. I live here and work here, I have no choice.
we can continue it.
Continue it and have him come to the next meeting.
Well, and or we could just ask him if he can fill in those forms and supply them. I don't think he needs
Correct,
to
as
come
part of
here.
his, he's doing it. It's
Yeah. No,
the
he-
Mass DEP data forms, I don't see that there's a reason why he can't provide them. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's gonna
I
be a
mean, maybe an
negative
extra
determination.
charge. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
but I think that's fair.
I
I do feel better that they actually identified where the sites are, because those are in the depression that we were somewhat worried about, so at least they've done that part.
So, I guess I move that we have Greg Hockmuth populate the appropriate forms
86 feet above sea level.
Submit
Soil
them
buttressing.
for review at next month's meeting.
Correct, as a as,
To support a
to support
negative,
his,
to support his
conclusion
negative
that we're
determination.
not, yeah, I think that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Are you gonna send that request to him, or how are you gonna do that?
Yeah, I'll contact him tomorrow.
Is there a specific number of data points you want, sample?
I don't
No,
think we
no.
need to do additional sampling. I think as long as,
He's got to fill in
as
the
the
Mass
data,
DEP
data that's already been
forms.
collected is properly applied.
So you just want all the material on the data
in a
form? Okay.
Dot the
Is
Ts,
there a
cross
form-
the Is.
Is there a form number there, or a form reference that he should be,
Yeah, the Mass
Spec-
We know what they are, yeah.
okay.
He'll
I just
know
wanna
what
make
it
sure
is,
that We're all
yeah.
not doing this again next,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, the Mass DEP data form, everybody knows what that is.
okay. I just, he's obviously an expert in this area, I just want to make sure that there's nothing specific that he is looking for that is not gonna, that is gonna
Yeah.
not be here, so, okay.
And the only other thing which would be nice for Greg to do, and not, I know it's not under this purview, is it'd be great to know if it was Army Corps jurisdictional. But that would only be if he finds that there's an isolated wetland that's.
Right,
All right,
okay. Do you want to,
yeah, motion
So-
to continue.
Now, do we vote,
motion
was
to-
that a motion?
Oh, no, we
No.
can just do
Okay,
that.
all right. Move to continue to next month's hearing.
pending receipt of the,
Well, it's gonna have to be continued anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he'll be
okay,
able to
that's
do
fine.
that by then.
Yeah.
okay, great,
Second?
I'll second that.
All right, all in,
Yeah.
any discussion on that?
Wait a minute, is everyone, do you guys have anything further that are here for it?
That's your only,
Put that in there.
your only issue?
Yeah, so, Mr.
Is
Dexter.
that form?
Yep,
Okay.
That's probably, I'm concerned about the product that the town got for a page and a half for
Yeah.
the amount of money they spent. But
unfortunately, he was supposed to be here as part of the peer review, but he had a previous commitment to another town meeting that conflict with this one. So I will talk to him and request that he also come to our next meeting if possible, because I'd prefer that he answer the
Yeah.
questions rather than me
Right,
on what he did. All right,
great,
all in favor of continuance?
aye.
Aye. Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for coming,
See you next
And
month,
that's, the next meeting is,
October 9th.
thank you.
which I will not be here.
Terry,
But you guys sort of knew that,
you have to
right?
come now.
I was amazed to see you running around town.
I gotta catch my breath every once in a while.
How was the game?
Pretty boring.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we've got two left. You're here for 28 Washington Street, right?
Is that what you guys are here for, or what are you guys here for?
No, is anyone here for 301 Main Street? Okay, so, you know.
Well,
who's
that was
here
just one
first.
hand.
5 minutes, just give me 5 minutes.
All right, we'll do 301 Main Street next then.
I was late, and I believe he walked in with me,
Yeah,
so
I
I think
was
we're
the
gonna give
last
you that thing, so. And I apologize for being late, I was just at work, so. Okay,
All right, so this is a
We looked at all that water.
Groveland RDA filing on 301 Main Street.
Good evening. For the record, I'm Dana Vesti, an environmental scientist with Ty & Bond. I'm here on the behalf of Boston Gas Company, doing business as National Grid. The proposed project consists of installing a new gas service line from the existing gas main within Main Street, approximately 80 linear feet, to the building at 301 Main Street. There'll be, this will involve an excavation 2 feet wide, 3 feet deep, putting a gas service line in the bottom and backfilling over it. There'll be approximately 162 square feet of temporary disturbance to riverfront area and approximately 50 square feet to the 100-foot locally regulated buffer zone to land subject to coastal storm flowage. These are temporary disturbances because the areas will be restored in kind, and there is no change in the general characteristics of the area, and the project will be entirely contained within the paved surfaces of the parking lot and the roadway.
301 is where?
That's down in the square, the former gas station.
Oh, gas station, okay.
Yeah. it's just
Groveland
on the
Getty.
right.
All
Erosion.
the work's gonna be on the paved area.
Yep.
Okay.
Under the Wetlands Protection Act, this is considered a minor buffer zone activity, exempt, but the Groveland Wetlands bylaw does not have any exceptions for gas service lines, so we're seeking authorization for our work. At this point in time, any questions?
It's all done at the front of the property, nothing to the back.
No.
No
it's
need
all on that.
for erosion control.
I don't see how you're gonna,
We could.
we-
So how
Is it,
long
it's
is
the, it's
the
the
work
parking lot in front?
The parking lot's in front. I went to the site, it's parking lot, fairly flat, and then you have Japanese knotweed for the bank, and then goes down to the Merrimack River, but they're not gonna go that far. It's only to like the front of the building. As you can see, the gas service line connection is right there, so there's like an awning. It's
And it's sort of a building that can be used for erosion control? That's a joke.
So the Japanese knotweed's for,
Yeah, not we don't do.
How long will the work take?
So it's 80 linear feet. Typically, I've seen crews do it 100 feet a day for trenching. So it'd be a day. I'd give them maybe 2 days for paving and all of that.
When do they want to start?
Fall.
It's fall, well, it's not quite fall, I guess technically.
Still summer.
Technically. Could they get it all completely done by November 1st?
They can get it all done. It, as I said, 100, like 100
Yeah.
feet a day.
Yeah, but it's just a matter of scheduling.
Yeah.
And if they don't schedule till November 5th, then they won't get it done by November 1st.
If they don't have it for this construction season, they'll do it after the moratorium.
Good enough.
All right, so we're happy that it's 2 to 3 days, no erosion controls necessary.
Everything gets restored like it was before.
They're gonna repave over the disturbed areas. You know, this is that area that's kind of between the two buildings, next to the post office, between the post office and the gas station. So I don't think, I'm happy with no erosion controls in place. If it were longer than 3 days.
Right.
I'd say, you know, we had to, but I think we could waive that.
I don't think there's any turtles in the area.
No turtles there. But there are eagles that fly along Merrimack River, so, and
Believe
it's
that.
right on the river, so,
Very true.
yes. But they're not, the property is not under natural heritage and protection zone, so I don't think, you know, but it is the riverfront area.
Right. I was being facetious.
Yeah, no, I know.
So do they need to file some paperwork, write us a check? What do we
No.
need to do?
No, nothing. We just-
Move
we
to-
We can make a motion that it has negative determination, that there's no impact, basically, by them doing the
Then you
work.
go right ahead and I'll second it. How's that sound?
All right, so I'll move that we issue a negative determination under the Groveland Wetlands Protection and also under the DEP mass.
Do you have any discussion?
At the moment.
Second.
Okay, second. All right, any discussion on the motion to issue a negative determination under both DEP and Groveland? Okay, hearing none, then we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Oppose, abstain, 4-0. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Good digging.
Yeah, actually, if you can just let us know when they're gonna start. Give us a few days' notice.
Yeah.
Thank-
If you talk to Rosemary, you may want to tell her that they're going to be calling to let her.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, we're down to just the true
Come on.
diehards.
We've got 28 Washington Street, Groveland, notice of intent.
Sure. Are either of you here for 28? Yeah. In support of him or in?
I don't know.
Okay.
Can you see what's going on? I got a letter.
You got mail.
Yeah, I got some
It,
mail.
it didn't come on your phone. It's like, what's this?
Something to do
Why
on
don't we
Wednesday night.
do it in such a way that we can look at it with, that's fine.
Oh, I can put it on a chair?
I just want
Yeah.
to make sure it goes on the, and allows them to see it so that they can see what's going on. Is that fair?
You got a good camera angle for that? Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Gary. All right, Jim.
All right. My name is Jim Scanlon. I'm here on behalf of Kenneth Pellerin, 28 to 30 Washington Street, as part of a septic system upgrade. We have filed a Groveland notice of intent. The property has a two-family house with 4 bedrooms. The septic system is in failure, and we have proposed an upgrade consisting of a septic tank and a leaching area utilizing Presby aeroseptic piping. The Presby is an alternative technology, which we have proposed because we are, within your jurisdiction. At the rear of the property, there is a wetland just off-site. On the plan, we're showing both the, let's see, the 50 and the 100-foot setbacks.
Oh, there's 50. I was looking for that, and here's 100. The whole thing's within 100.
Oh, all right.
And half of it's within the 75.
Yes. Okay, 50, 100. Okay.
That's what it says.
But entirely outside of the 50.
Entirely outside of 50?
Yeah.
Where's the existing
The
field?
existing is right here in kind of a yellow, right beside the pool.
Nice.
Closer, in other words.
It's closer. We are improving the situation,
Okay.
clearly with a new system, but also further from the resource. And we're, as I mentioned, proposed technology.
Okay.
We're gonna put the pool up against
Pool's
the
already
walls.
here, I think.
Yep, the pool is there. yes.
It's already there. They're not doing anything
Existing,
with that.
it's an existing pool.
Oh, I'm sorry.
How the hell did it get there?
System's failing, you said? Can't have that, right?
I mean, we don't have a choice, but I'm
Yeah,
surprised.
I bet they just did it without an ass.
What kind of siltation barrier are you proposing?
It's pretty flat. I was proposing silt fence, but,
Just
whatever
silt
you.
fence?
Oh, that's only got like a 1-foot drop, right?
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
flat.
All right.
Yeah, it's very steep
Silt fence,
You
or
know,
do you want a sock?
further back.
Which would be easier?
Well, silt fence is, just the staked plastic
Oh,
stuff.
you're saying no hay bales?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right.
And planning on doing it by November 1st?
Oh, they're warming up the backhoes.
Did we ever approve
In
the
fact-
school that's right next to
excuse me.
The
In
way
fact, I wanted to find out under the local filing, is there a 10-day appeal period?
There is.
And
Under the-
is that a start at your own risk?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Actually, it isn't 10 days. I don't know if it's defined, because in order to appeal, you have to take it to Superior Court.
Oh, for the local? Oh, okay.
So you're always at risk, but
But-
very small risk, because I don't think anybody's ever appealed a local bylaw decision, so,
Well, certainly not a failing septic.
yeah, right.
So theoretically, they could begin as soon as the
Yes.
order is issued and recorded?
What they should.
So we just have to get the orders written up on it.
Okay.
Do you understand what he's doing?
Yep.
Okay, so he has a septic system that's failing. He's suggesting a new one of an alternate system that's farther away from the area that we're concerned about, the wetlands, but it's, and
But
still.
it's still within our jurisdiction.
Yeah,
Correct.
75, yeah.
Do you have any questions for him?
No, feel good.
Okay.
Say hi to your neighbor.
Well, I'm on the rest of the street, I'm at 40 Washington. Yeah,
Move,
yeah, 'cause there's only one more house down here.
just a silt fence, no hay bales.
Right.
Move to accept this proposed septic system replacement as drawn.
Yeah, no change to the.
No
submitted
changes, like to be notified
plan. Yeah, well,
to
there'll
blah, blah,
be a
blah. Usual order,
pre-construction
yeah,
meeting. and-
pre-construction meeting, et
I'll
cetera, et
second
cetera.
Right, it's standard,
I was due for one.
standard orders
Good
of
for you.
condition. Is there a second on that?
I'll say.
Right down here?
Okay, Fred seconds.
The motion to accept the plan as is.
And the plan dated was
7/30,
July 30th.
19.
2019.
when are you planning on putting this in?
Oh, they,
He said the engines are warming.
oh, yes.
We
Yeah.
got diesel
Making
exhaust.
you aware we
They're
are.
probably ready before we'll get it written up.
Okay.
All right, so did we vote
Any
on that?
discussion on the motion?
All in favor?
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
No, it was,
Fred,
Fred was,
I said Fred.
they were taking turns.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Again.
Opposed, abstained, unanimous.
Get digging.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll get that to you, Jim.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
And if you want to be on any town boards, we've got a space open.
Yeah, a little busy, but.
Yeah.
Oops, which one?
Is that it for our?
That's it.
I move
Okay.
to close the hearing portion of today's meeting at 8:40.
Second.
Hey, is that done?
What's that?
No, it's just for the
Hearing
hearing
portion.
portion. Yeah.
Yep.
Any discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're out of the hearing section. Let me just look, I don't think we have too much more to talk about.
No.
That's why I was waiting.
Our
42, I'm like,
It's all right.
So just on the E-code option, take a look at this. Send me, if you've got any, if you've got any ideas on this. I'm not sure that we really need to do this. Maybe next fiscal year, we could put the money in the, in our budget request for it. So what I can do is get the pricing for us. I could have them give us a price for us, a proposal, because this is for planning. And you see what the cost was for planning is $4,000. So for us, I think it's gonna be significantly lower. And if they give us a proposal, then I could put it in next fiscal year's budget request.
It's not a critical need for us, is what you're saying,
No.
basically, so, but
It's gonna,
it'd be nice, but it's nothing that we're.
it will help us to be more compliant and similar to the other boards, you know. They're
Right.
doing this for ZBA and they're also doing it for planning, so it's like we'd be the only ones that didn't have our,
It'd be nice if we're gonna do it, if they're doing it at the same time, is it more,
Just to bundle it
cohesive of a
together?
plan? That's what I'm just wondering.
no, I don't think it's different.
Okay.
Because, see, they're doing it for zoning, and it really has no impact on what they're doing for planning, so,
What if
Okay.
it's a template?
I don't know. Well, I'll get a proposal from them.
I'll have a chat with the planning board and see
Right, I
what
just.
she thinks. She's got a pretty good,
Well, she's the one that,
right, but I mean, I was just,
Suggested
no, what she thinks about
yeah.
bundling it
What's
If
together.
it makes it,
Yeah.
if we're gonna say, do any savings, or if it makes sense to do it all at the same time, or.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
if it's
I'm
better,
with
yeah.
I don't argue it wouldn't be nice, but.
Yeah. Well, if we were,
Move to adjourn.
not quite,
No?
almost.
I'm gonna move to help put some chairs away.
All right, so our fall meeting schedule, we'll do the second Wednesday of each month, October, November, and December, which is the 9th, November 13th, and December 11th. And I don't see any problems with those dates, so we should be okay. Did anyone have any items for the open discussion? No open discussion, okay. All right, so I'll take a motion to adjourn the meeting.
He's taking it.
I'm taking a motion. Nobody-
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, we adjourn the meeting. Any discussion? All in favor at 8:45
Great.
PM. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Oh, wait.
I made it here from